Meeting of the Amherst Township Trustees called to order. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Abraham?
Here.
Lynch?
Here.
Uhrig?
Yes.
And I am also here. I have to start with the August 23rd, 2022 special meeting minutes. The meeting was called to order at 5:03 p.m. by Chairman Lynch. Roll call: Lynch, Abraham, Uhrig, and Kish were present. Also attending: D. Romanchek, J. Bender, R. Duncan. The pledge to the flag and reading of prior meeting minutes were deferred to the regular meeting. The meeting was called to discuss proposed Lorraine County Board of Commissioners tax increment financing resolution regarding sandstone development per RC 5709.78. Our next meeting is on Tuesday, August 23rd, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Amherst Township Hall. 8/11/22, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham to adjourn at 5:44 p.m. All ayes.
Okay, are there any changes or corrections? The August 23rd special trustee meeting minutes?
No.
Not going to have a motion to approve.
So move. Second.
Uhrig?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes.
Okay, then I have the regular meeting minutes from the August 23rd, 22 Township Trustee meeting. The meeting was called to order at 7:02 p.m. by Lynch with pledge to the flag and roll call. Abraham, Lynch, Uhrig, and Kish were all present. Also in attendance was G. Lynch and C. Nyhart. 8/12/22, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Uhrig, moved to approve the August 9th, 2022 regular meeting minutes as presented. Roll call: Lynch and Uhrig were aye. Abraham abstained. 8/13/22, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Uhrig. Move to approve that the July 2022 credit card account transaction detail has been reviewed per policy and is accepted as presented, subject to investigation, and all ayes. 8/14/22, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Uhrig. Move to approve the financial reports and payment of items on the payment listing, which includes ARPA fund expenditures as specified in documents provided by the fiscal officer. All ayes. The fiscal officer Kish also noted that the 2020-2021 audit has begun and it has been much more in-depth so far than prior audits due to the CARES Act money received in 2020 and also the ARPA dollars in 2021. We also received notice from the Ohio Office of Budget and Management, who are also conducting investigations into the mentioned expenditures. I have asked them to let me get through the audit first before tackling all of that, and they agreed. Trustee Lynch reported at the last meeting regarding ARPA funds final rule from the Treasury. He felt that we stick with the course we are currently doing and not use ARPA funds for any loan payment. Under reports, for fire inspector, testing the hydrants at Hampshire Farms and had a few issues with water pressure. 2 valves are found to not be fully opened, and once they were open, pressure was good. Trustee Lynch did bring up trick or treat. The last Sunday in October is the 30th, and not to conflict with the city of Amherst, our trick-or-treat will be from 1 to 3 p.m. Under Road, Park, and Cemetery, Road Superintendent Smarsh was ill, and Trustee Lynch noted packets contain copies of the 2 OPWC grants that we have applied for, the Moss Canyon Drive concrete replacement and also the Oberlin Road resurfacing, Middle Ridge Road to North Ridge Road. Packets also contained a copy of a letter from County Administrator J.R. White noting the county's commitment to providing funding assistance, but giving them flexibility where the funds come from, only for the Oberlin Road project. 8/15/22, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Uhrig. Board of Zoning Appeals appointment, consideration of an appointment of Jeremy Watson as second alternate to the Board of Zoning Appeals. All ayes. 8/16/22, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Uhrig. Board of Zoning Appeals accept the resignation of Ms. Rose Vector and appoint Mr. Randall Randy Herring as successor. All ayes. 8/17/22, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Uhrig. Board of Zoning Appeals appointment. Consideration of an appointment of Ms. Esther Arroyo as first alternate to the Board of Zoning Appeals. All ayes. Complaints are being handled by the designated individual. Under new business, Trustee Lynch noted packets contain information on the railroad quiet zone. To create a railroad quiet zone in Amherst Township, a 100-foot curb delineator. Thank you. Supplemental safety measures must be installed beginning at Crossing Gate and running northerly along Oberlin Road. The SSM would restrict access to Mancuso property. We discussed 2 options last meeting, but there are now 3 options. Option A would require easement on the Nizick property to provide a shared driveway access. Option B would require an easement on Amherst Township property to provide a shared driveway access. Option C would require the township to construct a 10-foot wide by 40-foot long stone drive in the right-of-way. Option A is the preferred option, with option C being the second preferred option and option B being the last preferred option. Trustee Lynch did try and reach out and has left documentation regarding the options with the Nizeks. Trustee Lynch is going to apply for a county ARPA grant with the county for a quiet zone on the Norfolk Southern Railroad with Brownhelm, Amherst, and Elyria Townships, the cities of Amherst, Elyria, and the Lorraine County Engineer. 8/18/22, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Euring, authorize Lorraine County ARPA grant application to pay for 50% of costs incurred to create a quiet zone on the Norfolk Southern Railroad. All ayes. Trustee Lynch has been in contact with ODOT, and there is no record of Amherst Township being a participant of the ODOT Cooperative Purchasing Program. 8/19/22, motion by Lynch, seconded by Euring, authorizing participation in ODOT Cooperative Purchasing Program. All ayes. Trustee Lynch noted that the trustees met with Rob Duncan, Don Romanchek, and Josh Bender from Lorraine County Community Development Department earlier this evening discussing a TIF regarding sandstone. There is no resolution or action required right now, but there will be at the next meeting. The next regularly scheduled meeting will be Tuesday, September 13th, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Amherst Township Hall. 8/20/22, motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham, move to enter into executive session at 8:07 p.m. according to ORC sections 121.22G3 to discuss disputes involving the public body that are subject of pending or imminent court action, and also Division 8, other political subdivisions requesting assistance. All ayes. 8/21/22, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham, move to return from executive session at 8:42 p.m. All ayes. 8/22/22, a motion by Euring, seconded by Abraham, to adjourn at 8:42 p.m. All ayes.
Are there any changes or corrections to the August 23rd regular meeting minutes? And if not, can I have a motion to approve?
I have none, so I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Euring,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Okay. Also, before we get into the financials, I had mentioned this actually to everybody earlier, but due to the timing of the receipt of the CDBG funds for the Engle Ditch Phase 3 project, we would need to amend the 2022 budget for receipt of the funds and approve that before payment of bills tonight so that we can pay Wolf's invoice. And there's a copy in your...
Those are actually Lorraine County Stormwater District funds, correct?
They are CDBG is what the check said.
The check said CDBG. Okay. All right, I'm going to make a resolution to request an amended certificate of estimated resources and appropriations, resolution 9322, to increase the general fund resource and appropriations by $100,000. I'm just going to leave it at that, even though the check says CDBG instead of Stormwater District. Maybe they, I don't know where they got the money.
I agree with you there.
All right, that'll be my motion.
I will second.
Lynch,
Yes.
Euring,
Yes.
Abraham.
Yes.
Thank you, and I will get that sent off tonight.
So now, Kevin, you're aware of this with the contract for Wolf Brothers, and if Benny calls you or Linda. Checks in the mail.
Almost. Actually, I've been in contact with Diane almost weekly. She called me and said, I thought the meeting was last Tuesday. Where's my check? I said, it's this Tuesday.
Well,
It'll
they've
be
been
done.
waiting a long time.
Yeah. So I'm glad that's on their way. So then we move on to payments. If we look at the payment listing, there is obviously nothing other than the Wolf Contracting large payment. Everything else is pretty much normal monthly bills. The UAN Treasurer Estate includes the audit as well as $948 for our third quarter of UAN payment. Is there any other questions on that page, or on the payment listing? So our revenue year-to-date is $1,770,805.23, and our expenditures are $1,122,648.64.
Okay, what's our revenue again? I apologize, you went awful quick there. Revenue, please?
$1,770,805.23.
And roughly 1.1 million in expenditures.
1.122.
Just make a motion, get it to the floor. I just want to check one fund, but I'll make a motion to approve the financial reports and the payment items on the payment listing, which includes ARPA fund expenditures as specified in document provided by the fiscal officer.
A second.
Lynch?
1 second.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Check something.
You have a question?
I don't recall it. I should have checked my previous, the $50 month to date of the ARPA fund. Was that in the last meeting too?
Yes, it's always monthly because it's for Iconium, for
Log me in.
Log Me In.
All right. All right, then roll call, Chris, I'm ready.
Okay, Lynch?
Yes.
Euring?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
And then also...
What's the number on that?
That is 9-4. I wanted to note that the 2020-2021 audit is still in process, but it is winding down. It's been a fairly easy process, even though I'm not here full-time. But then after that's finished, we'll begin on the Ohio Office of Budget Management investigation into the CARES/ARPA expenditures. And I just wanted to mention that I will also be attending the Ohio Association of Public Treasurers annual conference, which is October 5th through the 7th. And this conference usually fulfills the State Treasurer's Office annual CPIM requirements. All my continuing education will be done.
And then with the Office of Budget Management, I mean, you've got all the resolutions, but if you need help, I know, Linda, we thought at the end we wouldn't have to keep all that, but you still got the spreadsheets and tie everything back together, so.
And this is for the CARES Act, right?
This is CARES. They
Yeah.
did say, you said some ARPA too, but it's predominantly going to be
It's
CARES.
predominantly CARES is what I believe it is.
But,
I've had so many numbers going on in my head that,
yeah. But this is just like we said, by the time the audit comes through, it's going to be 2 years after some of the expenditures are made. That's why we, almost every one of the, at least all the large expenditures have a direct resolution tying right back to it to spell it all out.
well, and not only that, I mean, the spreadsheet that we have that goes along with it that ties all the resolutions that we have into it, it's,
Yeah, and
should be
that's good
good.
because you get a summary because you don't know
Right.
what they're going to ask.
right.
Whereas with the ARPA funds now, we started with the resolutions on each one, but once they came through with the standard revenue loss, we're under 10 million, which we're way below that, we don't have to do all that additional administrative work, and you've seen between everybody, but I know you and Linda, a lot of it, the burden there, it's nice not having to go through that. Let's just hope 2 years from now, though, they aren't looking at us like they expected you to have all of that.
That's all I have.
Okay, any other questions for Chris? Okay, I don't see any audience members in attendance, so we'll move on to correspondence. Chris?
I have none.
Okay, David?
I have nothing to bring forward at this time.
Denny?
Nothing to bring
Okay,
forward.
anything I have in correspondence is included in the agenda, and Most of them have an appropriate resolution. See, unless there's something special, do we skip the ambulance report, Denny?
Yes.
Okay, Deputy Bargeheiser's not here, so we'll move into zoning. Sam?
You all have papers now, but we have a total of 77 permits for the year, 9 permits in August, and 18 new homes year-to-date.
I really like this report, seeing the summary this way.
Thank Miss Linda.
How many homes for the month?
What was that, David?
How many homes for the month?
18.
For the
Oh,
month?
For the month.
None.
Does he,
I gave you guys a
does he have a
sheet.
sheet?
You have the report?
You have a sheet.
David?
Should tell
Yes, I
you.
do, but I just,
I'm
ask
go-
it.
I'm
So he
gonna-
gives it orally
I don't have it in front of me, I'm gonna guess 3.
for the month, okay.
Yeah, there were
It
3
should all be
months.
listed on that sheet there, David.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, I know.
He's
I know.
signing.
He's just testing.
Asking, let him say orally, I think that's good.
And Sam, did you want to mention you had, I'm drawing a blank on the name of the description for the site plan review that's going to come up for the zoning commission. They don't have a date set yet.
4 seasons.
4 seasons.
Yeah. Everybody, not everyone's picked up the plan so far, but all the email was sent out to everyone and still waiting. So yeah, we don't have a date yet.
But it could be at the next October meeting,
I
potentially.
assume so. I
Did you
mean, they
talk-
were close to 30 days, you know, I don't know how strict we are on that, but I would assume so.
You know, can I interject something? Lonnie came in today, he said he was going to call you, apparently he didn't.
No.
He is more inclined to go to November.
Okay.
He said do an informal in October and do the site plan review in November because it's only 3 weeks. And the only people that had picked up the plan so far had been Hank and Lonnie.
Colin came in tonight, but
Okay.
yeah.
Remy came in this afternoon.
Oh, did he? Okay. When Lonnie was here, it was just the two of them.
Well, the other thing is the architect, Mark Leslie.
Right. So he said he's more inclined, leaning toward that, but he was going to call Sam and,
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be calling me, asking soon.
And then there's a BZA hearing
This Thursday,
Thursday.
it'd be the 15th, right? It's on a variance. I can't recall her, Deborah, I can't recall her last name, but she's looking to actually put an addition in front of her garage. Extend her garage, I guess you would say.
I won't be here because I have another meeting that conflicts with
The
that.
15th
15th,
Right.
yes.
at 6:30.
7.
7.
Other questions for Sam? Okay, then we'll move on to roads, parks, and cemeteries. Superintendent Marsh.
Nothing for the parks or in the cemeteries. We've been on typical maintenance, roadside mowing, trimming. We are about to get into crack sealing. We needed to get a battery for the crack sealer today, and we're getting that up to par. Hopefully by Thursday we'll be doing some crack sealing. We worked with the other townships on the chip and seal roads. We got Fowl Road completed, and that was Elyria Township, Carlisle Township, and LaGrange Township. We all worked together, and yeah, they still had some more chipping and sealing to do on a couple of their roads in Carlisle, but we were able to get everything finished for Elyria, and LaGrange, they already had theirs taken care of. We were unfortunate to not be able to help them finish that up. They were going to be working on it tomorrow, which we are going to be too busy, but we did more than our fair share. We have a nice little agreement that they're going to be helping us with some concrete repair, things of that nature, and nice, even, Stephen. Worked out well.
Good, yeah. Well, we no longer have Governor Kasich here at the state, but could have written up a little report and sent it to him. Kevin, I think he acted like people didn't work together.
Right. But everything's going along good, so getting close to lease season. I do have the dumpsters. I ordered those today for dumpster days, which is in just a scotch over a month. That's all I have.
Are there any questions for Kevin?
No, I don't have any.
Well, there is one item on here, and Kevin did send to me from Dave Parsons a lease agreement for the Ohio Rebel softball organization, it's girls fast pitch softball. They had a lease agreement, but it was with the baseball and softball team, even though Dave was on it, different names, because the Rebels were a baseball team, but there's also a girls softball. So he had marked up the existing lease agreement, which runs through the end of this month, renew it for another 3-year term. So that's what you have in front of you. It's just takes off the previous girls softball that was listed on here by a different name and the baseball team, and just puts on the Rebel softball organization. So essentially, other than the date change in the terms and the name, this is all identical to the lease agreement we had before that was reviewed by the prosecutor. I did change, and let's see, it's in I think it's in the resolution where I talk about it was reviewed by the prosecutor. Yeah, the last whereas says Lorraine County prosecutor reviewed and approved the terms of the lease agreement in 2019. Because again, I didn't send this back since we got new people in the prosecutor's office. Didn't see any need to. It's all this is doing is changing the name of the team that's going to be using those fields down there. It still will be Dave Parsons signing, and we used to have Mark Cunningham on here. He's no longer involved. The kids have grown up and moved on. So if the trustees sign this, then Kevin will get Mr. Parsons to sign it. He'll give Chris you the original copy of the agreement, a copy to Mr. Parsons, and that way they know they have the access to the field. Just mention to him, Kevin, if he can at least give us a copy of their schedule so we can keep that posted here at the township. And it's up to you if you have a place to post it down there on one of the pavilions also, so people know when somebody's planning on using the fields. Okay. But anyway, I'm going to make the motion that the Amherst Township Board of Trustees approves the attached lease agreement requested by the Ohio Rebel Softball Organization for the area of Amherst Township, Middle Ridge Road Park specified therein.
Seconded.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call, Chris?
Lynch,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes.
Urick.
Yes.
And the number?
That is 9/5/22.
9/5.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Township Administrator Linda Ashley.
Nothing to report. I've just been filing and answering phone calls and, doing all that fun stuff and helping Sam in zoning.
It'll probably change. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kevin might ask you to put on some old clothes. The road crew may need some
I've
help here
offered.
soon.
You might.
I've offered. The only thing that we did hit was the City of Elyria Water Department sent us the backflow testing report that's due, I think it's due September 30th, or we have to have it tested by then. So I did call D&M Plumbing, who has done it in the years past, and scheduled them to come out. They'll let me know. We're on the list. But this happens every year.
Okay,
So other than that,
good. Thanks, Linda. Are there any questions for Linda? Okay, then we'll move on to the complaints. We have 3 complaints here. Actually, I think we had the one Copper Creek. This was here before on the Speedway, the hours of operation. I have that in here again, but that was from the residents over in Copper Creek because they must have been running late, past 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'll leave that. I know between Sam and Linda, you guys have been checking on that as far as conditional use history.
Yeah, I've yet to find a phone number to talk to somebody over there. Both the numbers on their website are disconnected, so I really haven't been able to talk to anybody yet.
Maybe give Chris Nyhard, our fire prevention officer, a call, see if he's got a better number or a cell phone, because I know he was running into some difficulties before reaching people over there in terms of the fire prevention and inspection. So he might have been able to finally catch a number.
Yep.
I do recall one of the individuals, one of the owners at one time was even staying there overnight at one time, and I think that might have been how he was able to reach him. Okay. But eventually we gotta, and Sam, I'll leave it up to you to get back to the Stitak family as far as what we find out, but it is running past 1 o'clock. That's getting a little late.
It was just
It
the one,
has to
the
be
one
made.
time though, right? It's just the one night?
That's just the one night that she put in the complaint. I know that the week after that, they were past 11. I can't tell you how long it went because I closed the windows, but, and turned on the air conditioning. But I probably wouldn't have noticed other than I was listening for it, and you can hear it. It's something we tend to get used to though, so it's, some people are more sensitive to the noises and, their closeness to them. We're probably in distance. Hard to say, we might be closer than Copper Creek could be, but you'd have to really look at it. How sound can change depending upon which way the wind's going. All right, the other one, and Sam, you're already aware of this. I think you've actually said there's 2 places in the township you're working on where people have actually taken these portable storage sheds that are sold that, lots of people use them, but we've now got a couple of residents that believe they can plop them right in the driveway in the front yard. And I don't think there's any more need to discuss this other than you're taking care of it and running into some resistance.
I sent them all letters. I called each and visited each one. Neither one of them were very responsive. In fact, the one guy just told me he's not going to move it. So I sent him a letter to maybe scare them. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, just, give them the facts. That's all you can do. And then, if there's still the resistance, then work through the prosecutor's office.
I got a call into Tom.
Okay, good. And then the last one, this is over on Overland Road. This is similar to another complaint that we received. This in regards to the grinding dust from the operation there where they're taking down the trees. This individual at 7935 indicated that they've got the dust on their home, their pool and their car. And Sam, I've shown this as a sign to you, but probably the main thing is giving this individual a call and probably giving them the direct contact information for the developer to work something out themselves because, at this point in time, I know they're not going to relocate the operation. As we had discussed that with an earlier report, can you move it back further? And their concern was there's a ditch right there and they can't get the semis, over the ditch. A larger earth moving equipment could. And, they explained they moved it to the south because of a complaint before they got started that on that curve, somebody, they might have difficulty seeing oncoming traffic, so they moved it southerly. Well, there's more people there, but I think there are some things they can do to take care of this. It won't be in the immediate, but perhaps they can, whatever they want to work out, but it's best between the individual and developer. Maybe they'll go ahead and get them a month's worth of car washes, pressure wash the house, who knows?
Yeah, it's a great idea.
But I think it's best for them to work out that detail than us. Unless the colleagues here have a different suggestion. Okay. But you've got the developer's contact information.
Yeah, I've called him twice, I think, and, you know, I think it's a good idea to let him deal with them.
Yeah, and that's,
Really do.
I know one of the other complainants, I did give him the information, but I know he had indicated his wife was ill, so he hadn't gotten a hold of the developer yet. And I know a third one, he's already worked out with the developer to get things taken care of, but he wasn't overly concerned, you know, with what's there. Probably because he was the one they made the adjustment for in relocating the operation. But he's still seeing some of the dust too.
I think we're going to be dealing with that for a while.
Yeah, well, hopefully it gets done. I know I did ask, I don't recall if I sent the email to you. I did send it to Colin Cerny on our zoning commission because he had asked at the last zoning commission meeting about the wood chip pile. And at this point in time, the developer was told by the subcontractor that they would move that out in October because they want that out of there too. But I did see today they were actually chipping the trees, the smaller trees and branches directly in the semis again versus adding to the pile. But they're eventually going to have to get that pile out of there too. But he did say October. So obviously it looked like you're just hearing this, so I probably didn't send you that email.
No.
I just sent it to the individual that asked. Okay, the next item, and not everybody has this in their packet, but the elected officials, and I think Kevin does, but you all receive this electronically. These are the cost estimates for the railroad quiet zone. I had met with the city of Amherst and a couple of residents, one from the city of Amherst, one who actually has his property is both in the township and the city of Amherst. And at that meeting, the decision was, you know, getting together a detailed price list. I had agreed to do that for Brownhelm Township, Amherst, and Amherst Township. I knew with Elyria, we've been working with their engineering department and the county engineer for theirs, and I have confidence they could have gotten this. They're familiar with the product and the ODOT terms, but somehow subsequent to that meeting, someone asked me, can you get those others? So I did. So all this is just the materials list. If you recall, total, including labor, we're estimating this about $98,000. So figure right around $100,000. We applied for 50% to be covered by grant, but we don't know if it will be. The labor would be internal, but in just material, you're talking, if it were the 7 crossings that, did I leave this? No, these are the 5 crossings. For just 5 crossings, the material would be about $53,000. That original $98,000 material and labor was for 7 crossings. But what's happened since then, because the city of Elyria has some additional work to do on a crossing at Abbey Road that has some constraints, we didn't want to hold up the project, so it's going to be split into 2 separate quiet zones. So you'll have one that's a 5-crossing quiet zone, which will cover from Brownhelm Township through Amherst Township, and then get that last crossing in at the city of Elyria in Elyria Township. Then the city of Elyria will do a 2nd quiet zone of 3 crossings that covers from Elyria Township through Elyria. So there'll be 2 separate ones, but the grant, since the grant had to be turned in by the end of August, we included the full 7 crossings because one of them Elyria Township's responsible for, and that way they, between Elyria Township and the city of Elyria, they would have the opportunity of getting grant funds for those crossings if it's awarded. We did not include the Abbey Road crossing in because we weren't sure which direction the city of Elyria will decide to go, since they've got several different options and they all involve different cost scenarios. So we just left that out and we put in what we did know. So this gives an estimate of what those materials are going to be. But what I am going to ask for tonight, I didn't prepare it, if we just look at Amherst Township on our materials, is the estimate will be, it's $18,616, so just under $19,000, which would cover the crossing at Dewey Road and Oberlin Road. And I had Linda's printed out the installation manual for the quick curve. I did speak with the representative for our area today, Kevin. He's actually in Florida, but typically when an order's put in, it can ship in less than a week. And he just talked, he has orders coming in on Monday, which are shipping on Thursday and Friday, but the plant they're shipping from is also in Florida. The plant address is on that manual that Linda gave you, but the order will go to P.O. Box, and a P.O. Box in Sun City, Florida. And I sent all that information to Chris, and you've got a copy too. Everybody here received a copy. But he says also expect 2 to 3 days shipping time from the truck line, depending upon LTL type things. So could come straight up, but it may have stops in between. And as far as the way we'll want it, I figure you're going to want, I asked about how this gets palletized, and they typically condense everything, and he thought he could get it on 2, but I said, well, and he said, no problem. If we identify in the email, he said, the purchase order will be all material, but identify in the email what you need at each crossing, they will mark it with that crossing. So you've got everything palletized, and then some of the items are in a box together, so you know when you go to that crossing, you have all the material that you require for that particular crossing. To get this done quickly, since we'll have to close the road just like you did, working with the other townships, we're going to need additional help on this. Most likely, we're going to want to temporarily close the road, while the kids are in school, and get it done quickly and reopen it again when people are coming back home from work, the majority of people, and also coming from school. Then we got to be sensitive to some, like Dewey Road. We've got a few businesses there that, like Polanski's that has retail. They're going to want that road open as quickly as they can for people traveling through there. But I just thought that we should have a motion, since this is a larger expenditure than we typically do, a motion to authorize the purchase of the materials required for the Amherst Township Railroad crossings at Dewey Road and Oberlin Road, at approximately $19,000. Yeah. I don't, Chris, that's why I said it's, this was, I think I worked late Sunday night getting everything together, and then after working with Linda to get things printed, had to clean up some mistakes, and since I was doing it for all the communities, I didn't want to just pull out what was for us. So I'm going to make a motion. Just tell me when you're ready.
Okay.
The motion is to authorize the purchase of all the materials required to create a railroad quiet zone at the Dewey Road and Oberlin Road railroad crossings at an estimated cost of $19,000. It really should come right out at the 18,616.
18. 18,000.
Well, it's $18,616, but if we say it approximately $19,000,
Okay.
yes.
I'll second that motion.
Seconded.
I'm sorry.
Abraham seconded.
Authorize the purchase of all the materials required to create a railroad quiet zone at the Dewey Road and Oberlin Road Railroad crossings at an estimated cost of $19,000.
Correct. And perfect timing to get a train coming by.
Any discussion, or are we good?
I'm good.
Lynch?
Yes.
Yes.
Abraham? Urick?
Yes.
And Chris, hopefully that email already showed up for you to
Yes,
create
it
the
did.
vendor record for this, so
Yes.
that everything's together. And Kevin, we can discuss, but the attachment pretty much explains everything I had in the discussion. The only thing I wasn't sure was which crossing you might want to do first. Obviously, the lower traveled is Dewey Road, that'll be the shorter one. If that's the case, you'll want in the email to this Matt Schindler to explain which one's first, because when I started asking, there's a tool to help put the delineators or boards, whatever you want to call them, in. And I just asked, is that really helpful? And he says, well, it is, but typically it's people that just install these, subcontractors that install lots of them get the tool. But he did agree to include a tool, palletize it with the first crossing, but we have to identify which crossing that is, because it'll all be shrink wrapped. So you won't want to tear it apart until you're at the site. But that way you'll have a tool to help install those. Okay.
Definitely be Dewey Road to begin with.
Okay, so it'll be Dewey. Well, I'm going to let you, from this point, though, work with him so that you don't get a middleman in between and confuse the issue.
Right on.
Okay? And you know how it is with these truckers when they're long haul, it may not be during work hours. Hopefully it is, but they'll need all your contact information, especially your cell, because they'll call you as they're getting close. And, obviously they should be able to spot that on real close to when they'll arrive.
Yep.
Okay, we all set to move on then, Chris? Okay, the next item, and we will be having discussion in executive session also, but the next item, this deals with the tax increment financing proposal that Lorraine County presented to the trustees at a special meeting on August 23rd in regards to the sandstone. The proposal was a 30-year, 100% TIF, but making the Amherst exempted village schools whole, so it'd all be county and township money. And I think the trustees are in agreement, because I know from my standpoint, the answer is no. We're going to have added cost burden between road maintenance. There'll be added need on the stormwater conveyance and repair. There's going to be added demands on the park system. God forbid, hopefully not the cemetery. But zoning, obviously, Sam, you're going to see more burden coming in with this coming through. Linda might be getting more calls, since the predominant area is going to be age targeted and age restricted. So you're going to have, this is targeted predominantly to an older group. There's about 193 homes that'll be open to any family age and targeted to any family age. But it's not that this is adversarial, and we try to make that clear that it looks like the Board of Trustees is leaning to no. So I did put, the ORC states that the commissioners had 45 days to notify us, and they've done that. There can be some disagreement over what that date is, but I'm saying it's August 23rd when we had that meeting, because that's when all the trustees actually saw it, even though it was hand-delivered prior to that to the Township Hall. The trustees have 30 days to respond. If we don't respond to object, it goes in, assuming the schools agree with it, and if we don't object, there'd be no reason for the schools to say no, because they would get all their funding. So to protect the township by objecting, all that does is assure that the way the revised code reads is that then the township can enter into negotiations with the Board of Commissioners. I'm really hoping they come up with something completely different, because I don't think they understood what what the makeup of this development was going to be, and also what was put in the settlement agreement, one of them being the stormwater management already, increasing the amount of retention and slowing the release and putting most of that burden on the homeowners association. You know, I think they were looking at that as being some sort of county thing, including the TIF. That's not going to be necessary. So the main item here is the Spline Road and then potentially the northbound left-hand turn lane on Oberlin Road. We also explained to them that the settlement agreement says the township would not object to a 75% 10-year TIF, but that's all we agreed to. So they're aware of this. This is just setting in motion to continue negotiations. So I'm going to make a motion that the Amherst Township Board of Trustees objects to Lorraine County Board of Commissioners' proposed sandstone development TIF resolution exemption for the number of years in excess of 10 and for the percentage of the improvement to be exempted in excess of 75%. Section 2, the Township Trustees desire to negotiate a mutually acceptable compensation agreement with the Board of County Commissioners in Amherst Exempted Village School District. And the rest is all boilerplate, but that'll be my motion.
I will second.
Any other discussion? Roll call, Chris?
Lynch?
Yes.
Uri?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
That is 9/7/22.
9/7.
Chris,
Okay.
if this evening, if you can send me or provide a certified copy of that resolution.
Mhm.
You got me on that one. Gary,
Pardon?
you got me on that one.
You're trying to catch me.
Ooh.
Okay, the next item, this is a request from Lorraine County Public Health for a letter of support for the 2022 U.S. Department of Transportation Safe Streets and Roads for All grant application to develop a comprehensive safety action plan. This is actually the bilateral infrastructure bill that Congress passed at the federal level, and there is funding available up to $1 billion in fiscal year 22, realizing federal level, they're in that fiscal 22 period. Public health, to get the opportunity to receive this funding, they have to have this grant application in by the end of this month is the deadline. There is a letter of support attached to this, and I included that in here, yes, that the Township Administrator of Amherst Township Board of Trustees, Linda Ashley, is authorized to sign the attached letter of support for Lorraine County Public Health, U.S. Department of Transportation, Safe Streets and Roads for All grant application, develop a comprehensive safety plan. I'm going to make the motion first just to bring it to the floor.
Second.
Okay, now, so Linda will be able to sign this, expecting we're going to approve this. She's also going to need a certified copy of the resolution here, Chris. And probably send those over as two separate files over to the public health, and you've got the address of where to send this. But just so the trustees are aware, public health's going to be looking for, I'm not sure what that was. They're going to be looking for input from the township, and realize it's going to be all the communities in Lorraine County. And I copied from the website that the U.S. Department of Transportation has and what the requirements are for this comprehensive action plan. They first require this plan before you can actually go and implement what might be some infrastructure, things where you start having purchase orders to purchase. So I listed those. These would come subsequent to having the plan available. It talks about low-cost roadway safety treatments. This list is not exhaustive, but identifying and correcting common risk areas, changing roadway corridors, identifying problem areas. You've got your safe travel to school type things where you're talking sidewalks, but start thinking about here in Amherst Township, what do we have? Think about the things we've already talked about. We've been putting in turning lanes where we can at high risk traffic areas. We've talked about traffic preempters to help the safety forces move quickly through the traffic signals and stop all traffic going in different directions. I know that there's been discussions in the past there near the intersection of Stone Valley and is that Moss Canyon, I believe, where if you go down there, you'll see a dirt path going through the woods, and that's school-owned property that the kids use to pass through, but there's always been discussion about getting a walkway or roadway through there to make that an easier intersection and reduce all the traffic where you either got to walk the long way or drive around as people do now. But what they're probably going to be looking for is what's your community want? We put together our plan there for the State Route 58 corridor, and we talked about working with the Metro Parks and the Lakeshore Railway as far as that pathway interconnecting from our township down to Wellington. And in the Sandstone development, we've already got as part of the settlement the multi-purpose trail, knowing that that would be one of the interconnectors. Not knowing if we'll go further to the east, but at least that can connect into that corridor and get down to the south. And for us, the difference is this will go right through a business corridor that we know is going to develop. I don't know about the rest of you, but I've driven a lot of these walked or ridden bikes on these pathways, and it's nice, but they tend to be out in the middle of nowhere. And it's good for seeing a lot of nature, but occasionally you want to stop. You want to stop and eat, you want to stop and use the bathroom or something, and many of them, you're just riding. This will actually give you a destination to ride to, and also help for those that might just not own a car and want to ride to work on a bike or walk to work without having to walk the main roadways. But I'm just mentioning that because we are going to be asked to participate in this, so you just got to start thinking about ideas, assuming the health department receives these funds here. I guess that's it. I don't know if there's any other discussion or questions on this. I mean, it's now going to be, Linda, if you sign this and get it off to the health department, we'll just have to wait and see if they get funded. Okay, roll call, Chris?
Lynch?
Yes.
Gehrig?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes. And that's 9-8.
That is 9-8, yes.
And we've got 2 certified copies we'll need tonight of different resolutions, and Chris.
Yep.
Okay, is there any other new business? All right, then our next regular meeting will be at 7 o'clock on Tuesday, September 27th. Is there any need for a work session at all, Kevin?
No.
Okay, no audience here.
I will not be here on Tuesday, the 27th. I will not be here.
All right, well, there will be a need for an executive session. So let me get that right. It's going to be 3 items. I'll read through the formal, but Chris, just so you're aware, one will be in legal in regards to annexation. One will be in regards to personnel changes in the road department. And the third one will be in regards to economic development, specifically on the TIF. So the executive session per 121.22G3 for the legal. 8 for the, I mean, you can read through what it is, but it's basically, I'm saying for the TIF, the 5709.77 through 5709.81. Let me find the one for personnel here. I think that's probably one. Yes, G1. So 121.22 G1, G3, and G8.
And I will second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Urick?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
All right, I want to make a motion that we return to the regular meeting from executive session at 8:53 PM.
I'll second it.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Urick?
Yes.
Okay, is there any other business?
Nothing at this time.
No.
I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
You know, if I didn't second that, we
I'll
could be
second.
here. I wanted to see which.
Abraham?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes.
Urick?
Maybe, yes.